Poor Yorick. I knew him, Horatio. A fellow of infinite jest, of most excellent fancy.
Welcome back, everyone. We have learned a lot from previous videos. So let's start to combine some of these techniques into an actual model. We will start with this skull that is found on Printables. And this is by Jeff. I'll leave a link in the description. All right, so let's just drag this into our slicer. All right, now this particular skull, I believe, is a solid piece. So let's slice this and see what it looks like. Okay, so we'll need some supports, and we can look at the inside. So there's a few things we can do. One, I don't want to use a whole lot of filament on this. So what we can do is lower our infill. So I will go to strength. We really don't need 6 walls. Let's see how 5% looks. All right, that is a whole lot better. And of course we are using a whole lot less filament. Okay, so there is actually a section here that we can probably put in a void or a cavity. I usually say void because it sounds cooler. All right, so let's go back. Let's right click on this guy and we will add a negative part, and we will start with a cylinder. All right, now I'm just going to center this so we can see exactly where it's at. We'll hit the move tool and bring this up. And it looks like the largest amount of space would be back here. So let's enlarge this. So we'll go to scale. Let's do, I'll do 50 by 50 first. And it's on uniform scale right now. And we'll see how this looks. So again, we'll go back to the move tool. We'll slide this over. Now a lot of this is just playing around with the model. And we'll go down. And I'll move over here. And we'll slice again just to see if anything's poking out. Okay, so we're not sticking out on the back end. We're just going to go down some more. All right, we can probably, so we're in good shape. This part looks close, but we might be all right. If we go up some more, I just want to make sure that we don't have any holes in this container that we're creating. So the back end's fine. The one thing I did notice, there was a lot of extra space at the bottom. So before even the cavity starts getting printed, we're up a bunch of layers. So let's see if we can change the Z height just a smidge. All right, so we'll go back to prepare. We'll click on that cylinder again. We will go to scale, and let's set this to 60. And the way that the scale works, it actually extends it on either end, so it might actually stick out from the top, which it just did. And when that happens, just bring it down some. All right, and we'll just go down so we're not piercing the bottom. So let's slice the plate. All right, and we are not piercing the bottom. We are coming close, but we are just barely touching. And make sure we don't have any, actually have some holes here. So we're going to slide this over just a smidge, just towards the back. Not a whole lot. So go to the move tool. And let's slice again. All right, let's take a look. And as long as you don't have any holes, we are in good shape. Okay, so putting a hole in that skull doesn't really help us much. Yes, it created that cavity, but how do we access it if it prints fully? So we will actually cut this. And I probably haven't done a video on cuts yet. Probably should at some point. So we're going to click on the model. We will then go to the cut tools. You can just hit C. And there's actually two ways you can actually cut something. You can move this up or down, which we'll do right now. There's actually a way where you can cut at an angle, or cut at any angle, if you hold down the Shift key and just drag over, and it will create a cut in that direction. But in this case, we'll just do a standard cut, since this will be straight. So we will bring this up. Whoops, didn't mean to grab that. Let's go a little lower. Yeah, judging from all the decorations, no way to do a full cut without cutting into some of it, but that's fine. All right, now before we perform this cut, we will do some special stuff. Up here, we will go to the Add Connectors. And what I am going to do is we're going to add some holes on this, so we'll use some pegs. Now, one thing that you're going to see, actually, let's double check the placement of that hole. I'm going to slice this again, and we might need to go up just a little. So our hole starts, our hole starts actually, because I was going to do the cut right about here. And so make sure that we're actually, oh yeah, we're in good shape. All right, so one of the things that you're going to see when you perform the cut, that hole is there. It doesn't show up in the cut section, but we can still work around that. Just have to know exactly where we're placing it. So we'll go back up. I'm trying to put this right underneath this little eyebrow section. And we're going to go to Add Connectors. Now, the connectors, yeah, I definitely should do a cut. We're going to use the dowels. So the dowels actually create little pegs. And what I'm actually going to do is put in magnets, but not like my previous magnet tutorial. So we're going to put them in after the fact. So we will look at, I'm going to look at the size of the magnets. I'll be right back. Okay, my connectors are they are 10 in diameter, so we will actually make this 11. And actually, I'll place one of these down either end, and I actually want to create a sort of like a plug thing, but we'll do 4 in terms of depth. And the way it will work is the it'll go 2 millimeters down, 2 millimeters up. If you drag up, you'll actually see the other connector. So you have a rough idea where it's at. So if you wanted to like center it or move things around. Now you don't see this, but the hole is still there. So you only see this during the slice. So let's just create, I know this is probably taking up a lot of space on this side, so let's just create like a triangle. We can always move these around. And you can check to make sure you're not cutting into the top piece. So I'll give an example. Let's say I put one over here. It warned us, but you can see it sort of cutting into the top. You can actually just right click on it and it'll disappear. All right. And I'll probably just clean that up off camera. All right, so let's confirm the connector and we will perform the cut. All right, so the way that it cuts, let's click out, click back in, you're going to see the piece that was the void or the negative part, both here and here. So again, anything below the build plate will not get printed. and then these pieces are just the dowels. I'm going to do something special with these, so I'm just going to move them off, but it will help you align this when you create your parts. All right, so that actually turned out decent. I'm going to move this one over a little bit, probably closer to here, only because it's cutting into the void, and if we were to try to print this, you'll see where it's cutting into this part and here. So let's move them forward just a smidge. All right, so I'm just going to hit the back button a few times until we're back into the cut section. All right, back in the cut. We'll go to edit connectors and we'll just bring these up. And again, you can sort of view up just to make sure it doesn't cut into that. All right, confirm connectors, perform cut. And they're not touching. We have the cavity, we have the parts where the dowels will go, and then we have both halves. Okay, one thing before I actually print this. If you get an error that says non-manifold edges, you can safely ignore those. Typically, they'll come up if you have two items that are occupying the same space. So a real-world example would be if you had, let's say, an apple intersecting into a building. Obviously, they both can't exist in the same place without something going wrong, obviously. The same thing with our slicer. So if it sees something like a negative part or sees another part intersecting another, it may not know how to resolve that. Usually it works itself out. The only time you'd really want to repair that is in the beginning when you're first starting off with the model. If you do a repair at the end, you might actually have the negative parts sort of wipe out, meaning it'll actually fill the whole thing in and wiping out all the work you've created. The other thing I wanted to mention, if you, I didn't want to just print this as is, we'd have to create supports. So I went to global process, we will go to enable supports. And typically for something like this, an organic model or something that's not just a bunch of straight edges, I like to do tree auto, and we will do tree slim as the style. And what this will do is it'll actually have the support sort of wrap around the model. It'll go into places that need support, but the nice part is it's really easy to remove, doesn't use a whole lot of filament. All right, and if we look at it like this, it'll sort of just wrap into places that need support and doesn't take a whole lot. Now, when it comes to the actual dowels, considering if you're doing exactly what I'm doing, you'll have these three pieces. You would print these, place them in the holes, and it will help you align the top of the skull. I actually have some special stuff I'm going to do with this, so I won't print these, but I'll show you what I do at the end. So I'm going to print this, and I will see you on the other side. Okay, so those printed fine. What we'll do, since I printed a few of these, I'm going to print the dowels for at least one set, and then I will actually create some caps and some placing in magnets. So we will just take these. I'm actually going to clone one of them. So I'll make the caps first. And what I'm going to do is actually just shrink these down. The magnets were 1.75, I believe, and once placed in the holes, it will give us a little bit of clearance to actually glue down caps. So I will actually make this a few layers. So right now our layer height is set to 0.2. So let's say I wanted 3 layers. So we're going to make this a 0.6. So we will go to scale and turn off uniform scale, make this pretty easy, and just go 0.6. Okay, so since we will have 3 holes on the top, 3 holes on the bottom, we will need 6 of these. So we're just going to right click, clone, and that clone will be 5 times, so it'll count the 1 and the other 5. And then we can arrange these as we like. And also what we're going to do, let's create another plate. We'll take the 3 types here. So shift, bring them over. If you have any issues with these dowels, you can shrink them. So right now these are at 100%. They should be a snug fit, but some filament tends to expand a bit, and you can play around with this. But if you go into scale, you can shrink down, keep your Z height the same, but you can actually shrink down your Y and X. So if I set this to, let's say, for instance, 10.8 by 10.8, you can iterate. So you can basically create several of these, and from that, you can see what fits best. Keep your Z height the same, and then of course keep, you can change your X and Y. So on the right hand side, this particular skull actually has the snug fit, so the exact 11 millimeter plugs. And you can see that it's a struggle to get these pieces in. And the left side has the 10.8 millimeter dowels. So in this case, they should slip right in. You can also change the percentage. If you don't want to get exact, you can say like 99 or 98%. And now you'll see the snug fit one have even more difficulty since it has to fit snugly on the base part as well as the top. So you'll see a gap there. So definitely think about changing the percentage for the dowel. Okay, so now we're actually going to glue down the magnets. You'll see I separated the different types, so the green and the blue, so they will attract each other, and just using painter's tape. So we'll just glue each one of these down. And you can hold it or use whatever you'd like. If you are using anything like a glue gun, you might have to make your holes a little bit thicker or be very careful how deep you're going to place these magnets, only because you have to account for how much glue you're putting in. Okay, so we're just going to do the other side. We'll speed things up a little bit. So it's pretty much the same process. And again, just make sure that you have the orientation of your magnet set correctly. Otherwise, you'll have some repelling each other and some attracting. So just double check beforehand. Okay, so this is the little cap that I created. That's 3 layers, and we're pretty much just going to follow the same steps. Since the magnets are now set, we'll just apply a little bit of glue and just leave the caps on to set. And you're just going to repeat those same steps for the top of the skull. Okay, and here is the finished result. So on the left, this is the one that actually has the dowels that just snap into place. And the middle and the one on the right have the magnets. Thank you very much for watching, and if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. Thank you.
Thank you for watching. Bye-bye. Like that.